In 1983, the CIA conducted a series of experiments to discover the true power of human consciousness, and specifically, whether or not human consciousness could transcend the perceived limitations of time and space in order to retrieve information, travel through time, have what we call out-of-body experiences, observe things happening in completely different geographical locations, thousands of miles away, which we refer to as remote viewing. Whether the human mind could telepathically communicate with others, and so much more. All of this incredible information, the findings of this study, were combined into one incredible process known as the gateway process. I believe it was called the gateway process because it was actually teaching us how to access the subconscious mind, the deeper levels of our consciousness that are metaphorically gated by the conscious mind. It is often said that the conscious mind is like the gatekeeper. And by getting past this gatekeeper through this so-called gateway process, we are able to access the true potential of our spiritual selves, a potential that most people would be so amazed by, they would call it pseudoscience. But here these documents are, now declassified, right on the CIA.gov site. I've read them myself, and I will leave a link to them in the description box. Because honestly, I myself, despite having an awareness of many of these topics and even speaking about some aspects of the gateway process on my channel, I have to tell you, I was shocked by the depth of information contained within these CIA official documents. It absolutely blew me away. But before we get into this video, let me introduce myself. My name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. Like I said, these documents are amazing and also incredibly in-depth. There are 29 pages of typed documents detailing these studies and experiences and the information drawn out of them. For the sake of time in this video, I am going to condense for you an easy to follow, applicable guide how you can start using the gateway process today to access all of these incredible features and facets of your own subconscious mind. But first, let's talk about what I mean by conscious and subconscious. Within these CIA documents, the conscious and the subconscious mind are actually referred to as the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is what we would call the conscious mind. This is the logical thinking mind, the mind that is easily distracted and very fixated within the concrete world around us. The right brain is our emotional, creative, and highly intuitive mind. This is the subconscious mind, and research has shown that this subconscious part of our brain is thousands of times. In fact, based on this document, I would say from the research, they found it was truly billions of times more powerful than the conscious mind when accessed and focused using this gateway process I'm going to be talking about in this video. So in the document, they divide the brain into these two hemispheres, the right brain and the left brain. And the entire gateway process hinges on one single goal: to get the right brain and the left brain working in harmony with one another, and then amplifying that synchronized energy to a very high rate of frequency, at which point we are now capable of accessing in the spiritual world what we would call the Akashic records, the limitless stores of information about the past, present, and future, stored energetically in the world around us and accessible to us through this subconscious mind at absolutely any time. The key to what this document calls hemisync, this synchronization of both hemispheres, the right brain, the left brain, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. In order to do this, one very key thing has to happen. So if we're dividing this into steps, this would be step 1 to the gateway process, is to find a way to quiet the conscious mind, the left brain, to essentially move it out of the way, to either put it to sleep, to distract it, or to bore it to the extent where we can then engage or activate the right brain or the subconscious mind. There are 3 techniques within the umbrella of the gateway process, and each technique describes a different way to employ the same process to achieve this distracting of the left brain and this activation of the right brain in order to get both hemispheres of the brain working in harmony and raising the energy of our body and of our mind. The first technique is Transcendental meditation. Of the 3 techniques, this is probably the most traditional and the one that you most commonly think of and associate with enlightenment, spiritual awakening, this ability to access the higher energetic realms. However, I feel that Transcendental meditation was also described with a twist in this document in a way that most of us don't think about it. So within this document, this meditation is described not only as what we think of meditation, the traditional closing our eyes, clearing our mind, trying to consciously raise our frequency. Oftentimes when we hear these pieces of advice, they don't really give us practical application. They don't really teach us how to actually perform a transcendental meditation. But this document goes into detail. It describes a process through which you can literally draw energy up through your body, through your energetic body, starting at the base of the spine and moving all the way up to the top of the head. In spirituality, we would refer to this as moving from the root chakra to the crown chakra. And the way that they describe to do this is to fixate your attention or your awareness, your pure focus on each energetic center in the body and to move your way up. So following the chakra system, you would start by focusing on the root chakra and slowly fixate your attention, moving your awareness all the way up, all the way to the crown chakra. To give my own spin on how I feel you can apply this, combining with a different technique outlined in this document, binaural beats are a very powerful tool to incorporate into this transcendental meditation. This document doesn't use the exact term binaural beats. It describes binaural beats as a beat frequency that is not technically comprehensible to your auditory senses, but is perceived by the mind. And what I mean by this is a binaural beat means that in one ear, you would have a certain frequency playing, and in the other ear, you would have a different frequency playing. And the middle point between these frequencies, the so-called middle frequency, as you listen through these stereo headphones, is what we call the binaural beat frequency. This is why for any of you who have ever listened to binaural beats, you can sometimes hear as though you feel like the frequency is kind of vibrating or oscillating, moving back and forth in a wave. This is because what you're perceiving isn't a frequency that actually exists, auditorily speaking, technically speaking, but is created through the mind, through the combination of these two distinctly different frequencies playing in different ears. Now, when it comes to transcendental meditation, because we are trying to work the energy up from the root chakra to the crown chakra, each of these chakra centers vibrates at a particular frequency, emits a certain sound frequency in its natural state. This could be referred to again as a binaural beat frequency. If we are able to immerse ourselves in each of these frequencies, we can use this listening technique to do exactly what I just described, to pull your awareness up from the root chakra to the crown chakra and essentially shift your energy up through your body. And when you do use binaural beats for this transcendental meditation technique, you also get the double effect of essentially retuning your body to a higher frequency. And this is described in a separate part of this gateway process document. But essentially, the document describes the human body as an instrument that emits certain sounds. And it also describes that whenever you immerse the body in certain sound environments, expose it to particular frequencies that are associated with certain functionings of the brain, or in this case, associated with certain chakras, then the body will actually begin to mimic or imitate these frequencies and begin to vibrate at these frequencies. And that by doing this, you can actually raise the energy of the body to these higher levels necessary in order to achieve the goals of this gateway process, such as time travel, out-of-body experiences, accessing the limitless information of the universe and the full capacity of your own brain. I have created several of my own binaural beat frequencies that I infuse into my subliminals. I'm sure that I'll be talking about subliminals a little bit later because this document really directly describes why subliminal tracks are so powerful and how they work. But when it comes to binaural beats, for each of my subliminal affirmations tracks, I have crafted very specific beat frequencies. Because on my website, Sound and Soulful, as you can see on the screen, I've created over 100 subliminals for all areas of life. So whenever I create a certain subliminal, I research sound resonance, which beats resonate with these particular shifts or changes, either in the mood, in the physical body, in the mind. And then I create these beat frequencies and infuse them along with other meditation sounds and, of course, the subliminal affirmations. And I combine all of these elements to create very powerful soundtracks that you can use to essentially do exactly what the gateway process describes, to bypass this left brain, this conscious filter of the mind, access the subconscious part of the brain. And as you can see from this quote I'm showing on the screen, this is taken directly from the CIA document. And essentially what it says is that when you get past the left brain, which remember is the conscious mind, you can directly access the right brain, the subconscious mind, and that when you do access this subconscious mind, that the subconscious immediately accepts and most importantly acts upon whatever you get past the conscious mind and put into the subconscious. And this document even describes, as you can see on the screen, that if you suggest certain things to a subject while the conscious mind is dormant, and impress these ideas on the subconscious mind, they will immediately begin to react to them in very real ways. So as you can see, the document gives examples such as if you suggest that their left leg is numb, their left leg will actually go numb. If you suggest that they are happy, their brain will actually trigger those pleasure receptors and they will feel euphoria in their body. If you suggest that they have an amazing memory, they will be able to access more of their memory than they were ever capable of accessing using the left brain, the conscious mind, by itself. This is the true power of subliminals, because we are relaxing that left brain, that conscious mind, and impressing ideas through these subliminal affirmations, through these binaural beat frequencies, directly onto the subconscious mind, that right brain that the gateway process so often describes the power of. So on my website, as you can see, I've created over 100 subliminals, and when you sign up for a 7-day free trial on my site, you can access any of these subliminals completely free and just try them out for yourself and see if you can begin to feel major shifts in your mind, in your body, and in your energy field. More information on my subliminal site will be in the description box and the pinned comment below. The second method of using the gateway process is through hypnosis. And hypnosis is similar in some ways to transcendental meditation, because just like through transcendental meditation, your goal is to relax or to put aside, to put to sleep the left brain, the conscious mind. Except when you're using hypnosis, usually you're using one of three or one of two techniques to relax this conscious mind. One, you are either trying to distract it. So this is when you see a hypnotist swinging a pendulum. They are trying to distract or bore your conscious mind so that you can engage the subconscious, the right brain. Another way to induce hypnosis is through creating a semi-sleep state. So when we do transcendental meditation, we are consciously self-inducing this state either through listening to certain binaural beat frequencies or through clearing our mind, through moving our energy up through the chakras. Whereas in hypnosis, oftentimes there is a second party, a hypnotist, who is performing this technique on another person. And at this point, when you are so-called hypnotized, when your left brain is fully asleep or relaxed or bored, then your right hemisphere, your subconscious, can now be engaged or activated, and it can also be impressed. So you can make impressions on this subconscious mind, which is why if you've ever been to some kind of hypnosis show, if the hypnotist suggests to one of the audience volunteers that they're dancing or something, and maybe the person would never normally dance in front of a huge crowd of people, or they may not even know how to dance, but if they are suggested to by this hypnotist in this hypnotic state where their left brain is relaxed, if they are made this suggestion, they will begin to dance even in front of all of these people. And even if people laugh, they won't be aware of it because their conscious mind isn't really present at the time it's asleep. And only the subconscious mind is hearing these instructions and immediately acting upon them. And again, this is why this can be so powerfully used to our advantage when it comes to listening to subliminals to reprogram our own subconscious mind. Because imagine the kind of power you can wield if you have the ability to directly access and program into your own subconscious mind any of your goals, dreams, or desires. Any kind of mood shift you want to experience. For example, if you want to become more confident, imagine being able to directly tell your subconscious mind, I am confident. And then no matter what, you are going to play out confidence in your life because your subconscious mind will immediately act on that suggestion. But this can be applied even more creatively, because imagine you told yourself you had a certain skill, like you were a master artist. Well, then naturally your subconscious mind would act on this. It would access creative and artistic genius beyond the scope of your conscious mind's understanding. Because again, through this subconscious portal of the mind, we have access to so much more than what is within our own conscious brain. We can actually access all of the greatness, all of the genius of the universe. We can access anyone else's subconscious mind, which is why using this process, even in the CIA document, they talk about how we can telepathically communicate with other minds. We are all connected through this mind. And not only that, but we aren't limited by time and space. So we can intuitively see or sense into the future. We can even sense into past lifetimes. We have limitless stores of knowledge. Anything you could possibly imagine, you have access to through this subconscious mind, which is what makes the gateway process so powerful. And finally, the third technique to using the gateway process that we're going to talk about in this video is something called biofeedback. This is a bit more complex than the other two, and personally I feel that it's a little bit less easy to immediately use because it either requires a great deal of time and practice, or it requires some form of equipment. And what I mean by this is biofeedback is the idea that if you can cause some slight shift, an evident shift that is noticeable, and then take account of it, notice it with your conscious mind, you can continue to amplify those results and to build momentum exponentially as you do increase those results. So I know that sounds complicated, but let me give an example. So for example, one way this is used, what is talked about in this document, is that a subject will be meditating for a certain purpose or to achieve a certain state of mind, like let's say a deeply peaceful and relaxed state. And essentially, they will see on a screen their own brainwave patterns playing out in real time. So as they consciously attempt to use meditation to relax their mind, they are seeing immediate feedback on the screen, showing them that they are becoming more relaxed. Then they are taking inventory consciously of this feedback and then able to enter an even deeper relaxation. And the study found that people who were able to see their own brainwaves relaxing were able to achieve a much faster and deeper mind relaxation, meditation, than those who didn't have this feedback. So this is the power of biofeedback. But the reason I say it's less easy to use is because, again, it usually requires us to have some kind of equipment or some tool to use along with our meditation process. However, one way I do think we can use biofeedback, it just takes longer amounts of time, is if you are using either a form of self-hypnosis, binaural beats, subliminals, within a kind of transcendental meditation practice like we talked about earlier. You could also incorporate biofeedback in the long term by noticing the effects of what you're doing and either journaling about them or consciously recognizing them. So let's say you're listening to a certain subliminal for confidence. Well then, every time you notice yourself acting more confident, you can then make a note of it in a journal or within your own mind, and then you will continue to experience amplified results because you will realize that what you are doing is working, and these results will exponentially build upon themselves. But again, this takes time and practice. It takes you exercising these techniques, seeing with your own senses the results of those techniques, the concrete evidence, so to speak, and then incorporating that feedback, that evidence, in order to actually amplify the results that you are getting. So consider this a kind of introduction to the gateway process, and I feel a very powerful introduction because through this video, I've taught you how you can immediately begin to incorporate this process into your daily routine and begin to make it work for you very quickly. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like more information on how to not only use this process, but what kinds of things you can actually use it for. The reason it's so hard to even begin to scratch the surface of what you can do with the gateway process is because the potential really is as limitless as your own imagination, because that is just the limitless nature of your own mind. So I hope this video was interesting for you. This has been the most fascinating document to research, so I hope you found it fascinating as well. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If I resonated with you, please subscribe to this channel, join our community of like-minded, conscious, creative beings here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at Magnetize Yourself, where I post high vibe content to keep your vibration up all day long. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again in the next podcast.